Right now, without realizing it, you are moving faster than a bullet. At the equator, every person, every city, every ocean is spinning at almost 1700 kilometers per hour. If Earth suddenly stopped, inertia would tear everything from its anchor. It would feel like the entire planet slamming into an invisible wall. In one horrifying second, humanity vanishes. Why? Inertia. Right now, as you watch this, we are all hurtling through space, tethered to the Earth's rotation at speeds that defy comprehension. At the equator, that speed is nearly 1700 kilometers per hour. Think of it like flying in a supersonic jet, then having that jet instantly, violently slam into an invisible wall. But this isn't one plane, it's the entire planet, and everything on it, suddenly ripped from its anchor. The sheer, unadulterated force would be beyond anything we can conceive. Cities like Quito, Nairobi, Jakarta, vibrant hubs of life and culture, would be erased in an instant. Buildings, cars, people, everything not bolted to the bedrock would be flung eastward with the force of 1,000 bombs. The air itself would become a weapon, a supersonic hammer striking down all in its path. There would be no time for a scream, no moment for understanding, just an abrupt, brutal end. Further north, the speed remains terrifyingly enormous. Cairo, a city steeped in millennia of history, moves at 1450 kilometers per hour. New York and Rome, iconic centers of power and art, at about 1250. Kyiv and Berlin, resilient and enduring, around 1050. Even London, a global metropolis, still moves at more than 1,000 kilometers per hour. Moscow, with its grand architecture, is near 960. Oslo, nestled in its fjords, about 835. The devastation would be universal, indiscriminate, a planetary-scale obliteration. Only close to the poles does the rotational speed fall below a few hundred kilometers per hour. In theory, someone standing within a few dozen kilometers of the geographic poles might survive the initial cataclysmic second. A fleeting, desperate hope in a world already condemned. But survival there would not last. The initial jolt is merely the prelude to an even greater horror, a symphony of destruction that would reshape the very face of our planet. The atmosphere, no longer bound by the Earth's rotation, would keep moving. Imagine winds, not just hurricane force, but mega hurricanes, sweeping across the planet with unimaginable supersonic force. These atmospheric behemoths would scour the land clean, stripping away every tree, every building, every trace of human endeavor. The very air we breathe would become a grinding, abrasive torrent, capable of pulverizing mountains and carving new canyons in moments. Then, the oceans. The colossal inertia of the water would unleash giant tsunamis, not just hundreds of feet high, but miles high. These liquid mountains would crash into continents, not merely flooding coastal cities, but engulfing entire landmasses. The roar of these waves would be the last sound many would ever hear, a deafening crescendo of planetary destruction. Coastlines would be redefined, continents reshaped, as the oceans reclaimed the land with brutal efficiency. Beneath the surface, the Earth itself would groan and tear. The sudden cessation of rotation would unleash unimaginable seismic forces. Earthquakes of unprecedented magnitude would rip the land apart, opening vast fissures that swallow cities whole. Volcanoes, dormant for centuries, would erupt in a global fiery chorus, spewing ash and lava that would darken the skies and poison the air. The ground beneath our feet, once solid and dependable, would become a churning, unstable nightmare. Forests, the lungs of our planet, would vanish in seconds, splintered into dust by the winds or consumed by firestorms. Animals and humans, those few who might have miraculously survived the initial impact, would be thrown, crushed, and destroyed by the relentless onslaught of wind, water, and seismic shockwaves. Marine life, once thriving in the depths, would be crushed by the immense pressure changes and extreme temperature swings as the oceans churned violently. Our vibrant living world would be reduced to a barren, scarred wasteland. Even the very shape of Earth would change. Without its rotation, the equatorial bulge, a subtle but crucial consequence of our planet's spin, would collapse. This massive redistribution of mass would cause sea levels to rise dramatically in some regions and fall in others, further reshaping the continents. Vast new regions would be submerged, while others would emerge from the depths, only to be exposed to the harsh, unforgiving elements. The familiar blue marble we know would become an unrecognizable broken sphere. Perhaps most terrifyingly, the magnetic field, our planet's invisible shield against the harshness of space, would weaken or even collapse entirely. This vital protective bubble, generated by the Earth's rotating molten core, deflects deadly cosmic radiation and solar winds. Without it, the surface would be exposed to a relentless bombardment of high-energy particles, sterilizing the land and making any form of complex life impossible. Our once blue planet, teeming with life, would become a desolate, irradiated, hostile world, utterly alien and uninhabitable. But what if Earth stopped slowly? What if this apocalyptic transformation unfolded over decades or even centuries instead of instantly? No violent winds, no global tsunamis, no immediate crushing obliteration. People would hardly notice the change at first, a subtle lengthening of days, a gradual shift in the sun's path. Yet, the consequences would still be devastating, a slow, insidious descent into a different kind of hell. As the rotation gradually slowed, the days and nights would stretch, becoming weeks, then months, then eventually half a year long. One half of the planet would be locked in endless, scorching sunlight, baked into a desolate, arid desert. The relentless solar radiation would evaporate all water, crack the earth, and render the land utterly uninhabitable. Life as we know it would be incinerated under an eternal, merciless sun. Conversely, the other half of the planet would be plunged into eternal night, a realm of perpetual darkness and unimaginable cold. Temperatures would plummet to hundreds of degrees below freezing, turning oceans into solid ice and freezing the very air. Blizzards would rage endlessly, and the landscape would become a frozen, lifeless tomb. No plant, no animal, no human could long endure such an extreme, unyielding cold. Only a narrow twilight band, a perpetually moving zone between the scorched day side and the frozen night side, could possibly support life. This sliver of habitability would be a constant battleground, a desperate struggle for survival. Humanity would fight not just against the elements, but against each other, for every inch of the shrinking, precious land. Resources would dwindle, conflicts would erupt, and the very essence of civilization would be tested to its breaking point. In this grim future, humanity would cling to that thin strip of land, a nomadic existence constantly chasing the fleeting warmth and light, desperately trying to outrun the encroaching extremes. Cities would become temporary encampments, societies would fracture, and the dream of progress would be replaced by the primal instinct to simply endure. It would be a slow, agonizing death for our civilization, a testament to the profound dependence we have on the subtle, constant motion of our home. So, whether in a single cataclysmic second or across centuries of agonizing decline, a motionless Earth is no longer our home. This isn't just a scientific curiosity. It's a stark, terrifying reminder of the incredible fragility of our existence. Every sunrise, every sunset, every gentle breeze, every crashing wave, all are products of this delicate, constant spin. What will you do with this knowledge? How will you cherish the precious spinning world we inhabit? Share this chilling thought experiment with others, spark a conversation about our planet's delicate balance, and consider what steps you can take to protect the only home we have. Let this grim possibility ignite a passion for preservation within you, for the sake of every sunrise yet to come. If you enjoyed this journey into the impossible, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us create even more mind-bending science stories. And let us know in the comments what cosmic what if you want to see next.